In the small town of Oakhaven, everyone knew Thomas by the sound of his walk. It wasn't a brisk pace, it was a slow, heavy thud squelch, especially on rainy days. Thomas had been wearing the same pair of brown leather shoes for nearly 20 years. They were more than just footwear, they were a map of a hard life. The soles were worn as thin as a prayer, and the leather was cracked like the dry earth of a summer drought. Thomas worked at the local mill, a place where the air was thick with dust and the noise never stopped. Every evening he would return home, peel off those damp, freezing socks, and rub his swollen feet. His son, Mark, would watch from the doorway. Mark was young, ambitious, and increasingly embarrassed. To him, those shoes were a badge of poverty, a sign that his father simply didn't care about his appearance. "Dad, please," Mark said on the morning of his graduation, "I'll buy you a new pair. You can't walk across that stage in those things. People will laugh." Thomas just looked at his son, his eyes soft but tired. He gave a small, weary smile and patted Mark's shoulder. "B's shoes still have a few miles left in them, son. Don't worry about me. Today is about you." Years passed. Mark became a successful architect in the city. He wore Italian leather shoes that cost more than his father's monthly pension. He rarely visited. When he did, he would look at those same old shoes sitting by the front door and shake his head. He thought his father was just stubborn, perhaps even a bit stingy. Then the phone call came. A cold Tuesday morning. Thomas had passed away in his sleep. Returning to the old house was like stepping back in time. It smelled of peppermint tea and old wood. As Mark began the heartbreaking task of clearing out his father's belongings, he reached the back of the bedroom closet. There, tucked behind a stack of faded flannel shirts, was an old, battered shoebox. Mark's heart skipped a beat. He thought maybe he finally bought those shoes. But inside the box weren't new shoes. Inside were hundreds of neatly folded pieces of paper. Mark picked one up. It was a receipt for his second-grade tuition. Another was for his college textbooks. Another for the rent of his first apartment in the city. There were hundreds of them, spanning 20 years. At the bottom of the box lay a small handwritten note on a yellowed scrap of paper. It said, "My feet were often cold, and the water always found its way through the holes. But every time I felt the sting of the winter rain, I thought of you walking on dry floors in a warm school. My soles are gone, but my soul is full, because you became the man I could never be. Walk well, my son. Don't look back." Mark collapsed onto his father's old bed. The worn-out shoes clutched tightly against his designer suit. He realized that for 2 decades, his father hadn't been cheap. He had been a martyr. Every hole in those shoes was a book Mark had read. Every crocked seam was a meal Mark had eaten. The man who had walked in the freezing mud so his son could run in the sun was gone. And Mark had never even said thank you for the miles he walked in silence. Mark collapsed onto his father's old bed. The worn-out shoes clutched tightly against his designer suit. He realized that for 2 decades, his father hadn't been cheap. He had been a martyr. Every hole in those shoes was a book Mark had read. Every cracked seam was a meal Mark had eaten. The man who had walked in the freezing mud so his son could run in the sun was gone, and Mark never even said thank you for the miles he walked in silence. Every mile he walked was a gift you already received. Don't wait until the shoes are empty to say thank you. If this story touched your heart, follow Daily Mini Story for more tributes to the silent heroes in our lives.